Hi, guys. Welcome back to Outspoken and Overbooked. Today we have Nikki Brandt with us. She does very similar to me, insurance recruiting. She comes from the insurance world. I have been following her content on LinkedIn for quite a while. It's entertaining. I feel like she's got spunk to her and a little bit of the keeping it real stuff that I also enjoy in my content. So I wanted to have her on. We also have both been on a fitness journey for a while now. And so we're just going to kind of dive into that. So, Nikki, if you don't mind, I always like to get started with kind of how somebody ended up in the insurance world back in the day. Like, it doesn't have to be too deep, but oftentimes people are like, I don't even think anyone really sets out to be in the insurance world, like from the beginning. Maybe
Yeah,
a little different now.
yeah, few of us, I think. Well, I fell into it like most, 2007. I was working in public relations. I was a writing major in college. So I was doing PR, like press releases and stuff like that for a real estate marketing company. Liked what I did, made peanuts, couldn't pay my bills. And my father-in-law, who worked for a carrier as like a field underwriter, territory manager, was like, "We have an underwriting trainee position. You should apply for it." And I was like, "I don't know what an underwriter is." And he's like, "You're a people person. Just apply. You'd be great at it. You'll figure it out." And so I'm like, all right. So I looked at the job posting and it paid double what I was making. So I'm like, I don't know what I have to do, but for doubles.
Yeah,
So I
figure
applied,
it.
interviewed, got the job, and I guess the rest is history. So I just spent gosh, I don't know, 10 years or so on the carrier side, moved over to the broker side. And then, kind of like you out on my own in the recruiting space about 5 years ago. So fell into it like most of us.
Awesome. Yeah, I was talking to a different person in the industry. It is crazy when people think of insurance, it's not like something that they're like chasing after, I feel like, which I hope that they start since we're going to need a lot more candidates in the coming years as more people retire. But I feel like there's just so many different directions to go within the industry that people just don't understand. I think they see like a Geico commercial or like a Progressive commercial and they're, or have a bad experience with a claims person and automatically are like, I would never work in that field. And I'm like, there's so many different ways to go. And so, I mean, much money to be made in insurance and, opportunity to grow within the industry. And so
Yeah.
I'm hoping over the next couple of years, we can get some more gals going into the insurance world. And then also the ones that are in there kind of getting them promoted within the industry because it's like,
I think to me, it seems like from my perspective, a lot of people think that two main like stigmas that I see are people think it's super boring, which if you're in the right space, it's not at all. Or they think that the only jobs in insurance are selling and they don't want to sell. So I think once you like open someone's eyes to like all the different avenues like claims, risk control, underwriting, sales, service, like there's so many things that appeal to different people. I think people just like our industry does not do a good job of like letting people know what those jobs even are and like what's out there for like the young kids to even choose that. Like they don't know it's a choice.
and so I just don't know how to get that kind of out there more. So I think that'll be an interesting thing. If I were a company or a large brokerage, I'd be figuring out some ways to really engage with some younger talent at this point because, as we know, like they keep saying, how many people are going to be retiring over the next 3 to 5 years? That knowledge is going to go with them. And like it, as you know, from being in it, you do have to do the reps. You do have to be in it for quite a bit of time to like learn the ins and outs of insurance. I mean, you can get licensed, you can take a training class, you can do this, but like it's still doing the job day in and day out. That's like actually gets you familiar with all the different parts of, your position
Yeah.
where it's like
Or
very hard to train that. So yeah, then I wanted to talk about when you started your own. Mine kind of came out of nowhere, so I just kind of jumped into when I started my firm, but kind of how did that process go for you as far as, deciding that you were ready to start your own recruiting firm?
well, I don't know. I think I probably thought about it for a while. I didn't just jump into it, I guess. Had actually started like a few years before I had started like a little side hustle, if you will, with a direct marketing company selling like shampoo and skincare. And that kind of opened my eyes to a world that I didn't know existed in terms of like being self-employed, like what that does for you from like a tax standpoint. Like suddenly your car is a business expense and mileage. And, in that case, like beauty purchases, all these things I was already doing were suddenly like business expenses. And meeting with the accountant every year, I was like, wow, there's a lot of benefit to being self-employed. At the same time, I think I've always kind of been like one of the harder workers on the group, on the team, whatever. And in sales, I was, producer bringing a new client in, the house takes a portion, you take a portion, and on the rental, we take an even smaller portion. And so being like one of the hardest workers, in the group, I always kind of felt like, well, that sucks to only keep a portion of what I bring in. I want to keep all of what I bring in.
Right.
Being a producer is probably as close as you can get to having a business and a business of your own without going off and being truly self-employed. So I kind of had the freedom and the autonomy, but not the income and the like true solo like flexibility that I kind of wanted. And my kids were young. And so kind of all these things just came together. And my husband and I were having cocktails actually in Vegas. This was like years ago. And we were talking about like, what would, if I had a business, like, what would the business be? And we somehow got to talking about like recruiters that contact us because he's also in the insurance industry. And we were joking about like how terrible they are. They message you, it's either spammy or it's irrelevant. And, the whole gamut. They're not responsive. They don't know what they're talking about. They, aren't good with follow up. They kind of are slimy and just the way they interact with you just isn't great. And I was like, man, wouldn't that be a great business if like you actually knew the industry that you were, recruiting for because you've done it for 10 or 15 years and then you went and filled those same kinds of jobs. Like, could that be a business? And he was like, yeah, it totally could be. Like, you could do it. And I kind of just sat with it for a while because COVID hit. And I was like, well, I'm not going to start a business like finding people jobs when no one's hiring because it's pandemic. So I sat
Right.
on it probably for, a better part of a year. And then my plan was to give notice like that following January of whatever, 21, I guess. And I was still scared, but I'm like, you know what? Like, if not now, when? Like, is there ever going to be like a perfect time? And so I was like,
Right.
well, I know I like producing. If I jump off the deep end and I stink or I hate it, I can always go back. And so that was 5 years ago. I don't know if I could ever have a boss again now. You probably feel the same way. It's tough.
Yeah. I can't imagine filling out a PTO request or asking for like a doctor's appointment, like any of that. That stuff I can't imagine. But same thing with the how many recruiters would reach out back when I was in the industry as well, and it was like, "This can't be real." Like, they'd be like, "We have the best opportunity for you," like, blah, 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 and it'd be like 10,000 left less in pay, and then also, like, for life and health that I have no license in. It's like, okay, you don't even know the difference between the 2, and so I think, like, you and I will always be successful in this business. I know we will, because clients, first and foremost, are like, "Thank God you're bringing me the right people." You know what I mean? And you have done the job and you do know what you're talking about. But also candidates, it's like
The
sometimes
credibility.
I wish that we could be like, okay, if you haven't done it, you can't do this job
Yeah.
because it does give the industry as a whole like a bad name. But I'm like, they just have like such a breath of fresh air when you actually can talk, like shop with them and be like, okay, let's just wait around for the right, whatever it may be. Whereas there's so many like spray and pray like type recruiters out there anyway. But I'm like, in this industry, like, you really do need to dig in and do your job because they need to have, like, the right experience,
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I always at conferences, I am curious, do you ever feel like when you go to conferences, like, some type of recruiting companies want to grow, 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 and then some they call a lifestyle business, and so when they ask me, they're like, "Well, do you feel like you're a lifestyle business?" And some people I feel like don't wanna say yes, but I'm like, "Yes, I am a lifestyle business."
I've not heard that term before.
Really? I've
No.
probably 4 different times this year at conferences, I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be, a lifestyle business."
I mean, I have been asked, if I wanna, like, stay small or grow it. Like, I've been approached by a bigger firm, like, "Call me first when you decide to sell," and I do go back and forth with, like, what my long-term plans are, but, like, right now, where I'm at with it is, like, my kids are so young and, I have total flexibility, and the more you grow, the more clients you take on, the more of a team you build. There gets to be a point where you get big enough that you can step back a little bit, but during that growth phase, you're definitely not, and I'm just like, right now, I have as much as I want, and I don't want more, so I just and you're probably in a similar spot, right? I'm able to turn things away that don't align really well with what I'm doing and building and who I am and who they are. And so I'm good with that. I've not heard it called a lifestyle business, but I guess maybe that's what I have. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe they just see me traveling all the time, but, I mean, my computer works everywhere, so I plan to continue that. My son's 23 years old now, he does not live here, he has his own business, and so, yeah, it's like, this has been, like, the greatest gift is, like, where you can just be working anywhere. I was recently at a conference and I got up early because I'm an early bird, worked out, was at the coffee shop working on my computer. And one of the waitresses was like, you should tell your boss you need it some time off because I was like also sick or like kept sneezing. I was like, I am my boss. She's never letting me off. Like, but when you love what you do, I don't care. And I'm not working like 15-hour days. Don't get it twisted. But I am so excited, with things that are in the works and things like that. Where before working at a firm where it was like, you need to have these KPIs and like, I would look at those numbers and I would know like, if you're calling 50 people a day, 50 clients, you're not having quality conversations or like 50 candidates a day. In this business, like it's all relationship building. And so I love that not having to answer to somebody and like doing it the right way with the right, conversations. But it does feel good as you get more established to not have to take, orders that are not going to be. I think I saw your post maybe today about producers. It's like everybody wants producers. Like I'm not signing until we're like ready to make a deal because everybody wants producers and it is very difficult. And it just kind of slows you down because they are very hard to move. And so we do not focus on that as much as we do on the service side of things.
Yeah, mostly, I
So,
mean, I think that, if I have a client that I have a great relationship with, and this is where I see success for me personally with producers. I have a couple clients, I have two or three that like I know them up, down, and sideways. I know the ownership, I know the culture, I know the kind of business they write, the sizes of accounts they have success with. Like, I just know them really, really, really well. And so I also know kind of like where a producer could fit geographically with them and what sizes, types accounts, what that personality would look like, more green, more senior, whatever. And so when I'm talking to somebody for, this thing over here, and I happen to like put together the pieces through the conversation, I'm like, you know what? Like you'd be a great candidate for a producer like with this agency. Then I'll call that guy and be like, hey, I have a guy who or gal who I think will be a really great fit for your team. Here's their, rap sheet, and I give it, to the company. And that's typically where I've had really good success is like the ones where I really, really know what they like and what works. I just kind of keep an ear to the ground all the time. And if I have somebody great fit one of those, couple of clients, then I just plug them in. But yeah, I'm not typically out there just working on that because it's really hard to unseed somebody. And if you don't know that agency really, really well and like what their, sweet spot is and what their value at or what their selling points are, it's hard to convince somebody else of why they're so great that they should leave this agency and go over here. So yeah, it makes sense for us for existing clients, but not for taking on new stuff just for that. It's just not worth it.
absolutely. And it is hard to get anybody like to walk away from, if they're good, most of the time they're not walking away from their current situation. So yeah, I had one go on for like 5 months and then it fell through at the end and it was like, okay, heartbreak, lesson learned. Like, I'm just going to stay in my lane where I belong with this side of the business. But have you found, so I didn't do anything with underwriting when I was back in the business. So I have had to learn several different sides of the business. I didn't realize all the different types of like underwriters, like on the wholesale side, difference between like brokers and stuff like that with like I guess the wholesale side of the market, I did not do a lot with. And now it's like my largest client that I work with is all wholesale. So do you feel like there's been a piece of the business that maybe you weren't familiar with when you were in it and now kind of service it with candidates?
Not really. I mean, I have kind of stayed in my lane, I would say. I've had the opportunity to do some stuff, and whenever I've kind of dipped my toe out, I feel personally not as effective. And it's like, could I grow to those areas? Sure. But it's like, I just have enough of, like, I really focus heavily in the stuff that I've either done or worked really closely alongside. So for me, that's like on the carrier side, the underwriting, the marketing, and then leadership in those segments, because I did those jobs. So that's, one side of it. And then the other piece would be, having been a commercial producer, obviously I know that role really well. And any of the supporting like AM or AE type functions on the commercial side, but also like the people that I would kind of partner with. So the risk control, some claims, not do a whole lot of claims, but some claims, risk control, and then any of the like employee benefits. Let's say I didn't work a lot in employee benefits, so I don't know that. I know enough to be dangerous, I guess you could say. Like I would often bring my counterpart on the EB side of the house out to a commercial client, so that way they could at least meet her. She was an awesome, awesome resource and salesperson. So I'd sit down. I'd seal the deal on my piece, introduce her, and that way when they had the time or the need for the EB side of things, they had already met her and it was a nice referral fee. And then the, sticky factor for the agency having both pieces of it. And then personal insurance, same thing. I had a go-to gal who I would refer all my client orders to her for their personal lines. So it's definitely heaviest in commercial, but I do like dip my toe in a bit on the EB and the personal line side, but just not as heavily.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I look back when I first started and I took an employee benefits account manager position and was interviewing a gal. She could only talk after work. I had my hair appointment, and you know how hair appointments are. Like, you wait months to get in. It's like, well, what do I do? So I interviewed her on the sidewalk with the foils in my hair, with my phone, because I was asking questions that had just learned that day, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, she's been at her job for 4.5 years. She's happy as can be. She got the job, you
The thing
know?
the thing I was gonna say is, like, I think it's important to remember, like, I do think we're most effective at the stuff that we know the best. However, I look at how many people out there are doing these jobs that will take on anything, that know nothing about the industry, that have never worked with it, like, we hold ourselves probably to a higher standard than most. So I think that, while I've had that situation with I had a client, what was it? Like a couple years ago, they were working on some sort of like data analytics something or other. And did all their commercial stuff. And they're like, can you please help us? And I'm like, this is really not my wheelhouse. And they're like, well, just see what you can come up with. So I'm like, all right. I did the search. I got a couple calls on the calendar. And the first one, the guy is like throwing out all these acronyms. We work on the PCSO5 system, but not the TMAC and and I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't know what any of that is. I sent an email to the client, I'm like, "This guy seems great. I think he has the skills that you need, but, like, I don't feel well qualified enough in this to, like, vet him on the credentials, like, so you're gonna have to do that." I mean, it worked out, but it just was a reminder of, like, when I'm talking to somebody about commercial and I can dive in so deep, it's just so much easier to vet, not only if they're a quality candidate, but, like, if it's gonna be the right fit for both sides. Like, if somebody's got, you know, large account expertise, they don't want a job where they're kind of like more of a processor and working on the small business and then vice versa. So it's not a matter of like good or bad job or candidate sometimes, it's just a matter of like right fit. And are they actually going to stick there long term? Like, is it what they're, wanting to move into?
Right. Yeah, I interviewed a guy once for an actuary, and I was like, "I actuary do not understand anything that you just said, so I'm gonna need to go back to the beginning." I'm like, "SQL, Python?" He's like so, yeah, again, when I go to conferences or when I meet people and they're like, "Oh, I can fill anything anytime," it's like, "Okay, well, that's not what makes us good at this job, in my opinion." Like, I don't think I should be filling a nurse in the morning, a janitor by lunch, and a forklift driver in the afternoon. Like, that to me is what I did do for like 3 years, industrial type, you know, temporary staffing. Never a d no,
I just
never.
think when you think of anything, like if I think personally in my life of, I don't know, restaurants I go to, my accountant, my fitness, situation, realtors, I don't know, any provider that I really feel like I get great value out of, most of them have some sort of niche that they focus in because, it's like if you're going to go to get a surgery, you're going to find somebody who does a whole lot of those kinds of surgeries. If you're going to go to like my accountant focuses in small business. So I will be like small potatoes to some giant firm who doesn't know or care about all the nuances of a small business. I just think it makes sense for pretty much every industry to like niche and become an expert in a couple of things. Like producers, my gosh, like think about producers that really are successful oftentimes, bless you, oftentimes have like focus areas. So I just think that that makes sense. Like, can we do other things? Absolutely. But if I'm seeking it out, I try to stick with the things that I'm best at.
Absolutely. I call that don't go chasing waterfalls. So when people are like, "Can you actually get us this?" I'm like, a few years ago, I probably would have said yes. Today, I cannot say yes. And that's why I love meeting other recruiters that you could partner with or refer to. And it's like a win-win, and you don't even, get held up with your time. So, okay, so that's enough about insurance. What about, let's get on to the fitness. I submitted my application this morning to go back to teaching spin. I won't lie, I'm a little bit nervous. I didn't realize it had been 7 years since I've been like the teacher. Everything like has flown by in the last like 5 to 7 years. And so I'm like, so that was my butterfly goal for 2026, but I don't believe in waiting anymore. Like, I don't like waiting for New Year's resolutions. I'm like, I know I want to achieve this in Q1. I want to be on the schedule. Talking about getting out of your comfort zone, I'm like, "Oh my god, this granny is gonna be up there with all these younger people." Talk to me about, how your fitness went this year. I feel like I saw you in, like, I don't know if it was a competition, but or what that was, the physical.
The Deca Fit, yeah, you should do that. That was awesome.
It
They're
looked awesome.
Yeah, and if you Google it, it's DEKA, DecaFit, you can Google it. They have them all over the country, actually, I think all over the world. I don't know how far they go, but they're, like, different locations throughout the year. Yeah, gosh, I got into working out after my son was born, which would have he's 8 now, so, like, he was a year old. I started working out, taking some, like, Les Mills classes at, Gold's Gym near us. I don't know if you have that chain, but not even business anymore around here, but, I started out slow and I just gradually got into it, and then I guess about 5 years ago, I started taking this, like, boot camp class, which is, like, quasi CrossFit-ish, I would say, is what we do, and just really fell in love with it. Like, the people were very welcoming and supportive and empowering. That made me feel, like, supported to keep showing up, and then as I made friends, I would start to feel, like, positive peer pressure, I guess you'd say, if I didn't show up, because 'cause they're like, "Where were you?" Which is, like, what you need. I've never been good at, like, the basement workouts because 'cause I'll just I don't know, I don't push myself, like, it's too easy to slack. I need that, like, energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
So I started going to those, like, probably 5 years ago, and I would say, like, consistently, I started doing personal training with him probably, like, 3 years ago. So for the last 5 years, I've been, like, ultra consistent with my workouts, like, lifting heavy, showing up consistently, but even though I felt, like, stronger, and in better shape, I wasn't getting as winded walking up and down the steps. I could, had more stamina. I felt all those things and I felt stronger, but my shape of my body and my weight wasn't changing a whole lot, because I really did struggle with, like, the food part of it. I think that's such a harder piece of it, at least for me, like, was the food. And so I guess probably 2 years ago now, I did try the weight loss shot, thinking that it was gonna be, another fad that I tried, didn't work, and it was absolutely a game changer for me. So that, in conjunction with my working out, has been, like, the ticket that I finally needed to, like, completely turn things around. So I've lost, like, 50 pounds, and as I've gotten stronger and, my body is actually showing the fruits of my labor, it just makes me wanna keep showing up. So I share that because I think some people are kind of like, I don't know, judgy about it. Some people are very, like, they don't wanna share, they wanna hide it. Like, I don't care, I put it all out there. I struggled for, I mean, probably since college with my weight, and so I just believe in being super transparent about that. But yeah, a low dose of it and just really putting in the work anyway, and just trying to really be mindful of, like, what I ate and the portions and the quality of food, less alcohol, less sugar and processed crap. I may still have all those things, but just, like, in moderation now. And I actually have the willpower to have them in moderation instead of being like a crackhead and having them all day, every day. That's truly how I felt. But yeah, now that I've gotten kind of over that hump, like, it's just I feel like it's so much easier to keep showing up. 'Cause I wanna keep those results and just keep getting stronger and feel better. So yeah, it's definitely become, like, a really, like, woven in part of my life now at this point.
Well, and don't you feel so when I got engaged and married during COVID, I had to move like 25 minutes from where I worked out. And literally, I tried so many gyms out where I live now, like the pink boot camp, that blush boot camp that's everywhere. I've been to other locations that I really connected with. This one, it's not even open anymore, but I tried probably 5 different gyms out here. And you just know when it's not your place. Like, and same thing, right next to my office, I have my Peloton, my treadmill, my weights. Like, I'm not gonna go in there and go like I do in my classes. And so it's been about a year now that I went back to my old gym. That's where I'm applying to teach at. But I'm driving like 25 minutes to get there, and I don't even care because I'm like, it matters who, like, if you like what you're doing. So when people start these New Year's resolutions every year, because back in the day, I did lose 155 pounds on my own. I worked my ass off. But,
Wow.
like, everybody wants to hop in and be like, "I'm gonna work out twice a day. I'm gonna eat 1,200 calories." Okay, get all of that out of your mind. Like, what worked back when I was, like, 30 is not gonna work today. Thank you, perimenopause also, but, um, they're trying to do too much, and so, when you were talking about, like, the consistency part, it just makes such a difference. Obviously, we all know the gyms are about to get packed as hell for the next month, like, and for about 6 weeks, I feel like, where you can't even get into, like, a parking spot. But I definitely feel like as you make the fitness, like, your routine, Do you feel as a business owner though, which is what I was guilty of over the last few months, and I'm like putting my foot down with myself. I would schedule my workouts, but then if a client or a prospect client is like, "Oh, I want to talk at 10, but my class is at 10 or whatever it may be," I was finding myself putting that fitness back, 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 and then pretty soon it's 5 o'clock at night. I didn't go because I didn't
No,
make it the
do not
priority.
do that. Do not do that. I never, ever give those slots up. They are recurring, like, appointments on my calendar. So for me during the day, it's Monday, Friday, personal training, then Wednesday night and Saturday morning is his boot camp, and then I take a boot camp with another instructor Tuesday morning. So basically, one slot on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday are like work day, work hours chunks that are scheduled off, and I never ever give those up because my calendar is open enough other times, the rest of they can find a time there that works. I give them the scheduling link and they can find something. So no, unless it's like an event I really want to go to or something that like, is a one time thing I can control the time of, I'm not moving that stuff because for me personally, if I skip that, then I beat myself up all day and I feel like crap that I skipped it. And then it just is a like vicious cycle. Then at night, I'm more likely to be like, oh, well, shit, you didn't work out today. Like you're going to have a little extra ice cream or it's like, I know it makes no sense and I should be more making up for it, but my brain goes down a rabbit hole of like old habits. And so
It's
I
like a domino effect. I feel like. I
feel
feel
I
like
feel how much better I feel when I'm done. So yeah, I don't ever give up those daytime slots. 50 whatever hour week that I'm typically working, I don't know, 40, 50, like it's 3 hours. Like that's my time. Like, leave me
yeah.
alone.
So yeah, I'm definitely putting my foot down. I do before morning workouts, which used to be my jam, but like in Kansas City, we're really lucky with the weather right now. I was in Florida, the only snow they've gotten, but obviously I'm gonna have to adjust for the weather, like go a little bit later in the day. But that whole thing of like, oh, I'm gonna do the afternoon workout. Honey, you're not. Like, I feel like some people are meant to work out in the mornings and some people, but yeah, making that a priority. And I feel like when you started, like way back when, I feel like the confidence that I got, not just in like the physical appearance changing, that was great and everything in the clothes, but like just accomplishing that. Like when you did that fitness event, feeling like a total badass when it was over, it's like, okay, no one made me go at 4:45 to get ready for this, like when I did my
Yeah.
triathlons. The pride with that, and I felt like that really trickled over into all areas of my life as far as confidence within my career, like asking for more back in the day, because I would just feel like if I can do that, I can do anything. And if they don't want to respect what I need here, like I don't know, it just gave me like a whole badass like level up when I would accomplish these fitness goals.
I saw something recently. I can't remember how it was worded or who said it, but it was talking about like having like being in shape, taking like care of your body is like the highest form of self-respect. And that comes out in conversation, that comes out in how you present yourself. So yeah, like it's a mental and a physical thing, right? Like if I go to an event and an eye day or something, let's say, and I have all these like industry colleagues that see me on LinkedIn, but not in real life, and I show up. And if that morning, I'll say old me was getting dressed, I would have pants that I was a size 12, probably needed a size 14. So they're like bursting at the seams. And I put a jacket on that was tight at the shoulders. And so I just felt tight in my own clothes. That was before I even ate anything. And then I show up. So I'm like sweaty and I'm like uncomfortable in my clothes. And I'm like walking around and my feet hurt, my knees hurt. And I'm feel like that's not going to provide me with like the mental state that I need to meet a new client or a candidate and really like feel like my best self and put my best self forward. Whereas now I put clothes on that actually fit me and then I like and I feel good in and my body isn't hurting. And I show up and I'm like not even thinking about this. I'm just showing up feeling good and that just comes out. So I think that's like the physical aspect of it. But then I think like mentally, you do start to feel like really proud of yourself for all that you've accomplished. Like you think about I'm sure with you, like wherever you started, like when I went to those classes in the beginning, I remember grabbing 5 pound weights. I could barely lift them. I was like dying trying to keep up. I was looking around. Everybody was more fit than me. I was like the, rookie in the class and it was very obvious. And I could barely keep up. And now 5 years later, I've got like 17.5 pound weights. Someone said to me the other day, like, oh, you're one of the leaders in the class. I certainly don't think that about myself, but I'm like, wow, that's what a compliment to receive from
Yeah.
somebody who's been coming for years. And yeah, that definitely trickles over into your areas of life other than that, like where you feel confidence, tell a client, no, you're not the right fit for me, or whatever the situation is, like, with your relationship with your spouse, your kids. Like, I just think feeling better and having that confidence and that physical health does just kind of help you show up better in like all the other areas.
Absolutely. And one thing I thought about the other day, which will probably be a LinkedIn post coming up, is when I was working out twice a day, that's when I had my son in school, he was like 10 years old. Um, I'm like, how did I do this? At 4:45, get home, get him ready, got him to school, worked a job I did not enjoy, picked him up, took him to the gym with me. He played his like Game Boy. That was the thing. And would do my other class, come home. All I did was work out. I mean, I'm not suggesting people do that kind of a schedule. My point is, I did that for years, and I'm like, now I have all the flexibility in the world. Like, just go do your 1 hour. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whereas sometimes when you have to do it on such a strict schedule, that's just when you have to do it. Sometimes as a business owner over this past like 6 months, year, I feel like sometimes the freedom of not having young kids and not having a boss, like kind of almost gave me too much freedom that I was like, okay, well, now you only did 3 workouts this week instead of the 5 you said you were going to do. And so, anyway, that's me rambling on, but that is an excuse. And so when I hear ladies say, yeah, it must be nice to have all that freedom, or it must be nice, I don't have the time. We all have 20 minutes a day somewhere in your day, I
Well,
believe.
it's
And they need it. The women, and if there's women listening, they need it for their mental.
I mean, I think like I have multiple thoughts on that. So I feel like I do cringe a little bit when I see like these 25-year-old like bro fitness influencers being like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Okay. Technically we do, right? But here's the we and all the things in my life, I have chosen them to be here. I've chosen to be a working mom. I've chosen to have kids. We've chosen to have a lifestyle that it needs two incomes to support. Like these are all things we choose. So I'm not complaining. But you can't look at two different people and say that the output is just that it's not that simple, right? At the same time, I do know a lot of people who constantly for years have been complaining about their body and their weight and their whatever, and they're not doing anything to even remotely work towards changing it. And I do struggle to like understand. I mean, I wasn't losing weight because of the food. I couldn't control myself. I was like a food addict. Like I feel like how I think about an alcoholic or a drug addict must feel. I was like that with food. I would binge. I would just like get myself to the point of being sick. I would eat so much. I had no portion control. I love all the junk food. And so that was my problem. But I was trying. I was showing up at the gym 4 and 5 days a week. I was working out with a trainer. And so it wasn't for lack of effort. I had tried every single diet. And so I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I mean, at least I was trying to do the things. But there's some people who just complain about it, but don't want to do anything about it. And it's like, well, you have to either try to make the change or just accept the way things are, whether that's in a job or your body or whatever. So it's hard. Like it's a simple thing to do, but it's not an easy thing to do. But yes, I do hear people say that, like, oh, it must be so nice to, have the flexibility that you have. Must be so easy to get your workouts in. Well, is it easy in the sense that I can structure my day around it? Yeah, but at the same time, like, being self-employed is not the easier choice, right? Like, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, that's guaranteed as long as you show up and do a decent job. Like, we have to bet on ourselves. We have to go out and hustle. We have to do the thing and deliver and budget our money and figure out insurance and, all the different things, like, so
Right.
it's not a matter of easy or hard. I think it's just a matter of, like, right fit for that person and trying to figure out, like, what makes sense for you, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like, yeah, you got to make everybody is different and all the things, but yeah, nothing gets on my nerves more than somebody that doesn't even try a thing, like whatever it may be. Try cutting something or try walking at lunch, whatever it may be. But no, I used to get that the first year that I was in business and just dealing with things, and it was always like if I had the freedom to be at the gym at 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and it's always like the must be nice, must be nice. It's like, okay, well, I spent the morning like basically working behind the scenes, like as my legal team, my accounting team, my IT team, my janitorial team. So
Yeah.
like now I need 1 hour to get that out or,
Yeah.
get that stress out. So yeah, it is funny when people don't quite get, there are way more perks than not, but I'm like, do you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and say, did I send off that quarterly tax payment? Probably not. You probably don't do that.
And I think, like, too, what people don't see is, like, I have a friend who's always, you know, she kind of makes the must be nice kind of, I don't know how you do it all. Like, that must be great to do all blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I just let it, who cares, whatever. But like in my mind, like I'm often up at like 5:30, sometimes earlier. If I can't sleep, I'll just get up because I have the perimenopause thing, as you know, the sleep. Like I'll get up early, start working at 5. Then I may break for a half an hour, so I get the kids ready and on the bus around 8, and then I come back into it, and then I might take a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour for like a workout if it's one of those days. Then I come back to it, and kids get off the bus at 4, I get them a snack, whatever, sit back down. I mean, most days I feel like from 5 to call it 5:36, I am at my desk. And so is it a full 12-hour day? No, because again, I do stuff during the day and I might hook out at, 2 o'clock on Thursday to go get a nail appointment or a hair appointment or whatever. But like, it's not like I'm working 20 hours a week here. Like, I think there's this illusion that we're just over here like lollygagging and having fun. And it's like, we might have the flexibility to structure it around our lives, but like, make no mistake, like, we're still putting in a lot of hours and we're still working hard. You just don't know what that's like when you have a traditional 9 to 5 or someone's watching you, punch the clock from, 8 to 4:30 or whatever.
Yeah, and oftentimes it doesn't line up that way. So that's why, like with candidates, I'm like, I'll talk to you in the morning. I'm an early bird. I'll talk to you after work on your way home because I can remember being like, okay, I can talk to you, but I have to step outside and go to my car. And I'm like, just call me on your way home, like
Yeah.
to try to offer that flexibility. So
Yeah.
I always just weigh that with all of the freedom that comes with it. It's like, I don't mind if it's a kick-ass candidate, I'll talk to you on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. if that's what's gonna work. Because, like, again, I don't have young kids, and I feel like when you know they're great ones, it's like, I'll do whatever, to make it work for them if they're, a super passive candidate. And so, but yeah,
Yeah.
just people's impressions crack me up sometimes. I'm like, yep. I mean, is it great the times I have had some wild moments this year of like one and done situations or like sending 2 candidates and then, a small company and then they're like, "Can we actually hire both?" Huh? And then getting a call 3 weeks later, "Someone's retiring. Can we hire a third?" Those are great from a referral. You know what I mean? But like there's also the months where you're like, "Hello, is my phone?" Like there's times when I'm like, "Is my outlet frozen or something?" Like where are the messages back on like
And
these great candidates I sent out?
I don't know if you do this, but I have a really good my best friend actually, who's been kind of like my mentor along this journey. We always kind of commiserate about this. I feel like when I am like swamped in the weeds, drowning, I want to blow my brains out busy. If I'm really honest with myself, I freaking love it. But when I'm a little slower, and like you just said, I'm like, "Oh my god, what am I doing with my life? Is this what I'm gonna do forever? I kinda hate this. What am I is this what I wanna be when I grow up? Like, I'm 42, is it too late to change?" Like, I swear, like, when it gets slow and I was like that producing too, it was exactly like that. When I was, like, closing deals, I had a bunch of stuff in the hopper, I was like, "God, I love it, I love producing." But the minute it got slow, I second guessed everything. I think that's just I'm like kind of a workaholic in some ways. Like if I'm doing something I really like and I'm working toward a goal, whether that's a new business production goal as a producer or recruiting and working towards like my goal for the year or whatever, filling roles with, companies I love, trying to get their, outcomes met. Like I do just boom, boom, boom. And it gets slow. I'm like, ugh, it does. Like I don't like it when it's slow. That's just like my nature, I think. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I go into like, is this over? Is this over? Like, is no one hiring? Is like, yeah, my mind goes into a million different places. And then it's like, ding, ding, ding. It's typically my husband jokes, but he's like, book all the trips you want to Florida. Florida is my jam, apparently, because I don't know how many deals I've closed in Florida from working from there. And I'm like, okay, I guess when it gets slow, I'm just going to start booking a trip. My husband's like, whatever, go stay with your friend. I don't even care. It's like a good luck charm. But
Gotcha.
yeah, my mind gets going when it goes slow. And I don't think it's going to happen this year, knock on wood. But I really hope that the new year starts out kind of how it's ending with just steady. Because last January, I felt like my clients were kind of slow to get going to start budgeting like roles. And so I'm just hoping that January is not that this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. We can only control so much. But okay. Well, I appreciate you doing this. Yeah, I'm just learning this podcasting thing. This was
You're doing
something that was
great.
pushing me out of my comfort zone. I'm like, they've been telling me forever to do it. And start getting on video. I'm very uncomfortable on video. Even as an outgoing person, I'm like, I haven't listened to one thing back. I hate the sound of it.
Oh, they say you shouldn't. I don't know. I've read that once that like you shouldn't because you sound weird to yourself. Whenever I've done a couple of these. Whenever I've listened to it or watched it back, I'm like, ooh. So I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
I just don't want to spend the time picking apart. Oh, but that's the thing that I was going to touch on. So I just turned 45 this year, and I do feel like in the last 2 years, maybe three, um, before I did things just like I never really cared that much about people's opinion, but really, I feel like in the last 18 months or so, I'm like, I don't care at all. Like, if it's not for you, like if this podcast isn't for somebody, scroll on, don't watch. Like with the spin thing, it's like if I try out and it doesn't work out, like at least I'm having the guts to try it. You know what I'm saying? But like not spending a minute extra of your time being like, I probably shouldn't have done that, or overthinking, did I talk too much on that podcast, or did that sound weird? It's like, I guarantee you people are not thinking about it as much as you are, so it's not even worth it. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna that's how I'm gonna go into this new year, just continuing that, like, do stuff that scares you and see what you can handle.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see how the fitness stuff goes this year.
Yeah. Well, you should definitely look up the DecaFit. I'll probably do one, at least for us here in like the central eastern Philly area. I think Philly is the closest one to me this year. Last year it was Lancaster, but I think I saw it's gonna be in Philly this year, but it's in August. So I don't know. Like they like go to different uh parts of the country. So it's I think it's like 10 lifting stations and 5K, I think. So you like run a few laps, do a station, run a few laps, do a station, and it's collectively a 5K and like 10, I think it's 10 or 12 weighted stations. But it's super fun to do with a group of like boot camp or fitness class friends.
Well, yeah, I like the sound of that one. I was looking also at that other competition type thing or whatever, High Rocks or Hydrox or something. But
It's just
there
like
that
that.
was
Yeah.
way too many burpees. That was too many burpees. My kneecap will pop right out of place. It was
Oh my
too many
gosh.
burpees.
See, I don't mind that.
Anyway,
I like those, but it's pretty similar to the high rocks. So, but
all right. Well, I'm gonna have to check it out. I feel like my running days, I used to do a lot of races every year. And my husband and I did the Thanksgiving 5K last year. He practiced or whatever one time at the fire station. He beat me. I wasn't impressed. But then he wouldn't even cross the finish line. He turned around, came back, and like ran in with me. So
oh,
I would cross first. And I was like, don't ever do that again. I come from like a family of 7. We're very competitive. I like to win fair and square.
that's funny.
It was a sweet gesture, but I was like, you son of a.
That's so funny. I would be the same way. I totally can understand that.
I'm like, that's cheating, Jimmy. So, okay. Well, have a great holiday season.
Yeah, you too.
January, this is going to be, all 3 guests are going to be insurance related. So I definitely appreciate you coming on and getting me started on this journey of
Yeah.
podcasting.
Well, good luck. You're doing
Next
great.
up is Taylor Swift as a guest, probably
Yeah, you're doing
February.
so.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.